Today on Pacific Drive. Whoa.
Security protocol activated. Scan artist security credentials immediately.
Nice.
Interesting thing about that deep zone area you identified. I ran every coordinate in that area through the ARTA database, and what turns up? But access logs with entry records for Dr. K up through March 1963.
What? No, the doctor died in 1961, and then the lab accident.
So we were told. Then, I found access logs for both that deep zone site and Red Meadow. Years and years worth of activity.
The Red Meadow Research Facility? But it was demolished the same year. After the structural damage caused by the... lied about that too, didn't they?
It appears so. The driver should give the Red Meadow ruins a visit. If Dr. K didn't die that day, I'd like to know what was keeping him so busy.
So would I, but... do we have time for this? We don't know how long the driver's got with that remnant.
And that's why we need this information. Whatever Dr. K was doing relates to all of this. It may be the key to what lies at the end of the road for the driver.
I... agree with you. God, I hate saying that.
Driver, I've marked the Red Meadow facility on your route planner. Head there whenever you're ready.
Red Meadow, huh? It's like... I feel like what they really want to say is Red Mesa. But like... Alright. I guess we're going to Red Meadow next.
After the multi-stage evacuation of the Olympic Peninsula's 100,000-strong population, the records get sketchy.
Once the region is swept clean of civilian eyes, the flow of information trickles to an eventual stop. ARTA has always maintained that the evacuation was done in the name of national security. That there was simply nothing more patriotic than sacrificing your homes, with the communists plotting our demise across the Atlantic. Certainly not because there was any danger from the strange experiments happening inside, or situations most unnatural to witness. ARTA kept a wide berth, displacing citizens far ahead of the front line, so first-hand accounts of things going awry were rare. But rumors spread fast, and everyone had some story about a distant relative whose pet changed in inexplicable ways, or a friend of a friend who followed strange lights into the woods and never returned. Once the civilians cleared out, the ARTA employees moved in. Scientists, officials, support staff, and their families made the Olympic exclusion zone home, reaching anywhere from 300 to 1,000 in total at its peak.
What any of them were doing in the zone was kept hush-hush, with the population just outside the walls found the secrecy irresistible. Every shipment of raw material,
Out-of-season weather patterns, and inexplicable light or sound became the talk of the town for the first decade of the zone's existence.
Pressed the wrong button. And then we got hit by our own car. Oh well. At least... looks like the car survived. Looks like we got another audio log to grab.
sadly, that's about where the cold, hard facts end. Listeners, I tried. I really did. I started my investigation in the usual fashion, digging up every piece of public record I could get. The paperwork is maddeningly typical up until 1955. Census records, soil samples, weather reports, hand-drawn survey maps,
The beginnings of satellite photos, all readily available for anyone with the patience to walk themselves into a county office. those materials don't tell me much, and I quickly am forced to turn to more dubious sources. Before the downing of multiple passenger planes and the subsequent establishment of a no-fly zone in 1962, crude aerial photos are taken and circulated. This is where things get interesting. I find fuzzy shots of what appears to be entire mountains relocating overnight, buildings disappearing and reappearing at random, and lakes filled with water or light, depending on the time of day. The resolution is dubious, making them inkblot tests in their own right. They are the stuff of dreams among amateur investigators and conspiracy theorists alike.
The most outlandish, improbable, and extremely unverifiable stories came from breachers. People rumored to have jumped, tunneled, hot air ballooned their way through the walls. If they're to be believed, there is much to be uncovered. But more on that later. LIM technology is not paraded around in the press for long. As the government withdraws acknowledgement that it ever existed, the public's interest similarly begins to wane. The last verifiable activity is an exodus of ARTA employees from the zone, beginning in 1981
and followed swiftly by a full decommissioning of the zone in 1987. After which, those 3,600 square miles are sealed away and left behind with no explanation. A tomb, minutes away from the populous, perfectly normal city of Seattle, with decades of history and secrets locked inside. And that is where I'm left to fill in the enormous, ill-defined gaps.
I mean, if only you were sitting here where I am right now, you would see how much truth there is to those images. Oh my god, we found purple paint. Yes. Yes. That is so good. I love it so much. I like our purple car. Fantastic.
So that's the history of the Olympic exclusion zone. We know it absolutely existed and that something blighted the area. Dr. Ophelia Turner was a real person who grew up there, and LIM technology, claimed to be her invention, was the reason the zone was created. The facts point to either the pursuit of LIM or the technology itself doing something terrible to the area.
And maybe even to the people who stayed behind. For such a vast, valuable area as the Olympic Peninsula to be lost to the world for the indefinite future, someone needed to take the fall. The evidence in this corner paints the target square on the martyr part of this equation. Or did Dr. Ophelia Turner know what she was unleashing upon her homeland? If she did it willingly, then she would have been a monster. But if the government strong-armed her into it, then she would have had no choice but to become a martyr. To answer that question, we need more information still.
I mean, I'm all for information gathering. I'd like to hear what else this person uncovered.
How do you force 100,000 people out of their homes without facing major resistance? Even if you're the United States government, facing down what's being peddled as the greatest threat our nation has ever faced, the answer is, you don't. This is Frequency File, Episode 3, The Human Cost. Last episode, I reported all the cold, hard facts I could get my hands on. If you missed that episode, here's the summary. There wasn't much. Now, we jump tracks to the stories of the people, to knit together old records and eyewitness accounts to form some fabric of the true story. Whoever's job it was at ARDA to suppress stories did a really good job. What they did to keep that sheer number of people from talking, and then to smear the stories that did come out, was a masterstroke of obfuscation. Unfortunately for ARDA, the cases that made it all the way to court became public record. And the facts were these. ARDA played nice at first with a generous relocation package. They offered cold, hard cash and built sprawling housing complexes in nearly every state to resettle the former residents. These new communities were built as idyllic, white picket-fenced neighborhoods where you were sure to be surrounded by all-American families who shared your same values, while enjoying the benefits of government-subsidized grocery stores, school districts, and manicured public parks. Not a bad deal from the looks of things. When it came to the holdouts, the people who wouldn't leave for any amount, things got ugly. But in the end, the government won out, as it always does. And while the government has the sovereign right to seize private property, the Fifth Amendment mandates just compensation be paid for it. But it doesn't specify when or how this compensation be made, and many dissenters ended up with nothing through good old loopholes and bureaucracy. Some of whom are still pursuing their claims to this day. But the chilling thing is, those left with empty pockets consider themselves lucky. There's a saying they mutter amongst themselves under their breath, that at least they had the luck to not live in Sierram.
I mean, the whole situation is just insane.
Of the witnesses to the Sierram disaster that are still alive, most aren't willing to speak to me.
The one eyewitness account remains the most damning report of what happened. Meet Lou Arganza. She was 9 when she last saw her parents alive. You were born in the zone.
Yes. Born and raised in Sierram town until it wasn't a town anymore.
Lou was evacuated from the zone on February 13th, 1973. Can you share what you remember from that day?
Sure. I was at a week-long wilderness camp. This yearly thing my elementary school would put on. They'd throw the kids into the woods, show us how to pick apart animal droppings, sketch birds, things like that. It was my favorite thing as a kid. But that year, I really didn't want to go. Something called the Limb Fair was coming to Sierram, and I begged my dad to let me stay. He told me I could see it the following year. Well, that obviously didn't happen.
What is this? So where to first? I guess we'll hit this one and we'll try to get all these if we can.
I remember red metal like it was yesterday. You up to your eyeballs in paperwork. Francis coated in chalk dust from the blackboards.
You mistaking my lab notes for a trash pile and throwing away weeks of work.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see it again.
They bulldozed that facility to the ground. There's nothing left to reminisce about.
I mean, that's a shame. What a long road, man. It's gotta be storming out.
You regret all this?
From the very second I heard your voice coming through my speakers.
I mean, everything that happened here. Handing over Lynn, the way the project ended. It cost you Alan, your career, the entire damn Olympic Peninsula. But you're still here.
So are you. You chose your urban legends over everything else.
And you wonder if I regret it?
Oh, I have no interest in regret. I want to know if you ever felt that leaving was a real option.
After everything I've seen and heard and felt here, no, not a chance.
Then we have that in common.
I think I'm actually kind of worried that they're finding common ground, to be honest. Huge skyscrapers. I mean, this was a major city. Look at this place. Really wish it wasn't storming, though. Driving through the parks. I think I have a quirk that slows my speed when we're on an incline. Because, like, we should really be able to get up those.
How's Francis?
He hasn't left the bedroom.
I'm sorry you didn't know about his demotion. It wasn't my secret to tell.
It's fine. This is between him and me. So, what did Alan tell you about his work? He was second in command of Dr. K's lab, after all.
Alan didn't discuss his work with me, nor did I share mine with him.
Wait, you were head of the whole stinking department. You must have known something about what their lab was doing.
If there was anything useful to be found, I'd have sussed it out already. That's all I did after the accident. Try and fail to find any answers.
Okay, we gotta scan all these things in order to unlock new stuff, so my car is not happy. I want to go see what this sap thing was. Hammer. Oh, we get the crystals from these. Nice. We need more of those. But we need a new hammer. Whoa! Nice! Oh, I've seen something else red and glowing over here. Oh! Tree candy? Twisted ember. What did we do with this? Can we vacuum this? Oh, well that's a lot easier. We're definitely going to be able to make that engine when we get back. This is great. Okay. What else could happen in this nonsense?
Dr. K's access records were coded to the lab that used to be here.
I'm feeling less optimistic by the second. Not to scour this place clean.
Something's here. We just can't see it.
Oh, following a hunch. Not your usual MO, Oppie.
No, but being suspicious of Arda is.
Whoa, driver, hang on. Where are you going? That should have been the end of the facility.
According to the blueprints, anyway.
Whoa.
Security protocol activated. Scan Arda's security credentials immediately.
well.
What the heck is
After
this?
all these years and Anna still has something to hide. We're definitely onto something now.
Driver, anything you find down there, scan and transmit it back to us. We'll work on disengaging the security protocol.
Let's go on foot for a little bit. So what is this place? I don't seem to be able to scan this thing. Okay, let's do the scan.
Okay, here's something. This thing in the deep zone, they called it the Well.
Oh, fantastic. Tobias, run those reports through the decryptor and see what you can find. Oh, you'll like this, Tobias. Your remnant origin story, if you will.
Let me guess. You're about to ruin a good urban legend with a bunch of science.
Fine, I'll read this one myself. Nice work, Driver. We'll review these and summarize our findings after. These lab notes are complete gibberish.
What about these diagrams, though? It looks like he was trying to convey something.
You can admire the doctor's newfound art skills all you want. You won't find anything useful in them.
This is a decrypted record of the accident. Oppie, are you sure you want to hear this? It's got details about Alan's final moments.
It's been over 30 years. I'm past ready. Go on, Driver. Keep snooping and see what else you can find.
Oh, here. There we go.
Alan's lab notes. Maybe my late husband sent us something useful from the grave after all.
And you're all clear.
Give us a moment, we'll let you know what we found in all this data. And make your way back to the auto shop after you're done scouring the place. And Driver, thank you.
No problem. Oh, jeez. It was so nice to not have to deal with all this stuff for a bit. Ugh. Oh, God, now where are we?
Driver, you hit the jackpot. We've got a lead on what you're heading toward in the deep zone. Tobias, give us the rundown about the well.
Arda classified it as a hotspot of ultra-high energy gamma radiation. Its eruptions were spontaneous, and ultimately Arda made no conclusion about what caused it,
When it would blow, or how
destructive it would be. Arda, of course, wanted to control this bottomless well of energy. So they brought in Dr. K and Alan to research activation and containment. They discovered a way to reliably trigger the well, and that was the remnants.
And that's what the remnants have been leading people towards. The well.
Is this something we're gonna have to jump into? Like,
This second report's a good one. Ready to hear where the remnants came from? The original remnants were created in Dr. K's lab. They aimed to create a trigger for activating the well. By infusing objects with a carefully calibrated limb wave, the ones that shared a resonant frequency would...
Yeah, just get to the good stuff.
You know, you'd be a much better ghost hunter if it weren't for that unfortunate attention span. Reading this makes it obvious how the remnants ended up in the wild.
Wait, what? How?
The gamma ray surge that caused the mass hallucination event. That energy irradiated everything within a 10-mile radius. Objects with the right characteristics absorbed that energy and became the remnants people found out in the zone.
Wow. Francis would get a kick out of that one. I'll tell him later.
I've reviewed Dr. K's lab notes. Now we know what he was doing in that lab after the accident. Spinning in circles for years.
His injuries were real. Dr. K's radiation exposure should have been fatal.
And the minute he could stand on his feet again, Arda shuttled him right back to his lab and bid the monkey to dance.
They allowed him to carry on in the hopes that he would reproduce anything useful.
He worked for 2 whole years before they quietly retired him from his post.
I'm sorry we scrambled your brain. Here's your pension. Bye. You've got that accident record ready, Tobias? It's time.
Okay, then. September 14, 1961. Arda's finalized report on what happened that night. Dr. K and Alan were testing the activation potential of lab-created remnants. That night was a run-of-the-mill remnant test. Nothing out of the ordinary. The remnant in question was a tungsten cube. At 3:23 a.m., the cube was brought towards the well. The well reacted at nominal levels. However, at the 500-meter distance, the cube was sucked into the well
And triggered the gamma ray surge. The energy output continued ramping up, and at 15 seconds, showed no signs of stopping. Then, Alan...
Go on. I can handle it.
Dr. K testified that Alan engaged the suppression protocol, then the kill switch, both of which failed. Dr. K ordered Alan to get to safety, but Alan insisted on staying at the controls. Only when he flipped the radiation polarity did the energy output plateau, then collapse back into itself. Alan's gamma radiation exposure was fatal due to his proximity to the well. If it weren't for him, the entire zone might have gone under.
That's who Alan was. Loyal until the very end.
I'm sorry, Uppy.
I'd expect nothing less from him.
So, despite the fact that they caused it,
Once that car gets to the well, we can expect another gamma ray eruption. We'll need a way to cut it off. And I may have found the answer in Alan's lab notes. His work on that suppression technique was top-notch.
What's interesting is Dr. K and Alan didn't know any more than we do now. They had no conclusions about what the well is.
Or what the remnants did. Or how they interacted with this well. Maybe they're ladles that scoop out a metered amount of gamma radiation. Maybe they trigger an eruption that we can't stop and will destroy the zone if we get it too close.
That's a hell of a range. What are we going to do?
We keep going.
But if it's an eruption...
I already sacrificed the Olympic Peninsula once for Tech. How many chances for total and utter fallout does a gal get in her life, huh?
Me. In another life, we would have made a fantastic team.
In no universe would I not have murdered you in your sleep.
wow. No, please stop. Oh, man. Get. Okay, I have a feeling this isn't going to go the way I want it to, but... yeah, maybe we'll do it just fine. Excellent. I was expecting much worse. Ah. Man, what a long mission. Alright, everybody, and that is going to do it for us here today. Thank you so much for stopping out. I greatly appreciate you. Hopefully you're enjoying Pacific Drive so far, because I'm sure there's a lot more to come. But before you go, make sure that you get down in that description, check you out all those media links, likes, follows, subs, all them fun things, and then take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, stay healthy out there. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, buddy.